And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan with your aviation weather outlook for the state of Alaska this Friday, January 24th, 2025. There is a lot to talk about. We have another not so much strong low in terms of a deep low, but we have a very moist low with mild air and gusty winds that are going to be coming out of the North Pacific and moving up across Bristol Bay into the southwest interior this weekend. Initially, we've had a couple lows come up in similar tracks this past week. They're already up here now, at least as of this Friday, later morning, early afternoon, up in the Chukchi. But this is a steady stream of unusually moist air, an atmospheric river, and it's going to lead to some heavy rainfall, especially south of the Alaska Range over areas of south central Alaska and along the Gulf Coast. In the colder air, areas of the middle Yukon Valley down to the west side of the Alaska Range, including the upper Kuskokwim areas, could pick up as much as 10-20 inches of snow, locally 2 feet. Also the potential for heavy snow on the backside of the low as we go through Saturday into early Sunday for areas of the eastern Aleutians like Dutch Harbor. Unalaska could have near blizzard conditions as a result of this system, but we expect widespread IFR conditions Saturday morning across the Yukon Valley, southwest interior, Alaska Range along the Gulf Coast into south central, trailing back along the Alaska Peninsula, southeast Bering and eastern Aleutians, pockets of IFR in through the Panhandle. Now Saturday, notice widespread area of IFR conditions along and north and west of the Alaska Range. This is the band where some heavier snow will be setting up. Ahead of that, breezy conditions, moderate to heavy rain falling, the Susitna, Matsu valleys, Anchorage Bowl, Kenai Peninsula around Prince William Sound. As much as 2 to 6 inches of snow could fall around Prince William Sound, the eastern Kenai, and along those Alaska's range slopes of the Susitna Valley. Anchorage Bowl could pick up as much as 1 inch or 2 of rain, as could Wasilla Palmer area. So very, very wet system. There could be ponding of water and some minor flooding as a result of that. Some gusty winds. Anchorage hillside could gust 60 to 70 miles an hour. Not as strong as the storm a couple weekends ago, but nevertheless, a number of trees have been weakened by that storm, so you could have more branches coming down, potentially some scattered power outages. And then Sunday, more of the same as the low works its way into the southwest interior. We have kind of the stalled out frontal boundary. IFR conditions, winter weather, low ceilings, poor visibilities. You're not getting off the ground in this region. It's just going to be socked in. Areas here of the Gulf Coast and into the Panhandle, we're talking about low ceilings and some heavier rainfall still in areas along the Gulf Coast. So again, IFR conditions there, and Sunday afternoon, we still see them persisting along the Yukon River areas of the southwest interior and coast, and then back down toward the eastern Aleutians, and then still areas of IFR up through the western northern Gulf and along the coast there, and as you get up along the Alaska Range, as well as into the Panhandle. So again, this is going to be a rather extensive system impacting a good portion of the state through the weekend. Anatuvik Pass, as well as Adigan Pass there for the eastern Brooks Range to start out Saturday, and VFR conditions, VFR to the north. You've had some wind come through there on Friday, some blowing snow. That'll let up a bit. So as we get south and west, Lake Clark, generally MVFR, but once you get those southerly component to the wind hitting along the Alaska Range, Merrill, IFR, Rainy Pass, rainy and IFR conditions, low ceilings, visibility, fog. So IFR there, Windy Pass, IFR, same thing, Isabel Pass. You could have also some snow in the mid and higher elevations around Paxton Lake and on over toward Broad Pass. You're going to get a wet, heavy snow, maybe even a little mix. So again, IFR conditions, Mentasta Pass, MVFR across the Copper River Basin in the lower elevations there, warmer temperatures and rain. Tanita Pass, IFR, and then Portage Pass, rain, low ceilings, fog, IFR. And Chilkoot and White, at least for time being, Saturday holding on to MVFR conditions, though conditions will likely deteriorate for the late weekend. Freezing levels, things are above freezing, even west of the Alaska Range into the southwest interior, all the way up to the Yukon Flats area, and then extending all along the Gulf Coast. So mild air, temperatures some areas will be well into the 40s the next couple of days. This dome of warm, moist air, notice the freezing levels aloft ahead of the low. And ahead of this frontal system, jump upwards of 8,000 feet lower Cook Inlet and around Kodiak Island, around and above 10,000 feet in the North Pacific south of the Gulf. This atmospheric river is moisture laden with like 3 times the normal water, the precipitable water that we look at to forecast precipitation amounts. So that's unusually moist. And we have a 1046 high in the North Pacific with a ridge up into the Gulf to along the Alcan border with lows. The lows themselves are not that deep, but they're very moist. And we find the potential for widespread moderate icing from the Yukon Flats, Alaska Range down through the central interior, southwest, Bristol Bay down through the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, anywhere, say, below 12,000 feet for areas that are in the central interior, and then below 16,000 feet there along areas of the eastern Aleutians. And keep in mind, there's going to be a changeover to snow, and blowing snow there in the eastern Aleutians could get rather nasty there, especially on Saturday. Upper level wind speeds, we have a jet core, 150 knot southwesterly jet there along the middle Yukon River in the interior. This is a strong, unusually strong, warm ridge for this time of year. To have a 1046 high out over the North Pacific is very, very unusual. And then 9,000 foot, 700 millibar level, we find broad southwest winds coming in from off the North Pacific along the western Gulf and right up through the southwest into the central interior, winds of 65 to as high as 75, 80 knots. That just shows the moisture feed. Then at 3,000 feet, we find that core of stronger winds coming out of the North Pacific up around through Kodiak Island, across the Alaska Range, 40-mile gold country. Strong winds there. That's why we have that turbulence threat there through the Alaska Range and areas of south central. On the backside, as we go into Saturday night, northerly flow will be increasing across the eastern Aleutians, along with the potential for heavy snowfall. So there could be blizzard or near blizzard conditions as a result of that setup. Turbulence on Saturday, no doubt there's going to be moderate and severe turbulence. The best threat for severe turbulence will exist along areas of the Alaska Range and further north toward the 40-mile gold country, maybe lower Yukon Flats, and then coming down here, eastern Alaska Range, Wrangell St. Elias Mountains along Prince William Sound, Cook Inlet to Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait. We would expect below 12,000 feet there could be some certainly moderate to severe turbulence. Pockets of moderate turbulence, southern panhandle, back up here, western Brooks Range below 4,000 feet, and then trailing out along the Alaska Peninsula into the eastern and central Aleutians, we could find widespread moderate turbulence, especially below 4,000 feet. So if you're thinking about flying, in many locations, it will not be possible, perhaps for at least a couple of few days. So it looks like you're going to have to be grounded. But keep a very close eye on the forecast and any latest advisories, watches, or warnings, as I am sure there will be other things issued here during the weekend to account for this stormy weather pattern.